fight. Through every trial, my soul will sing, no turning back. I've been set free. Christ is enough for me. Christ is enough for me. Everything I need is in you. Everything I need. Christ, my all in all, the joy of my salvation, and this hope will never fail. Heaven is our home. Through every storm, my soul will sing, Jesus is here. To God be the glory. Christ is enough for me. Christ is enough for me. Everything I need is in you. Everything I need. I have decided to follow Jesus. No turning back. No turning back. I have decided to follow Jesus. No turning back. No turning back. The cross before me, the world behind me. No turning back. No turning back. The cross before me, the world behind me. No turning back. No turning back. Christ is enough for me. Christ is enough for me. Everything I need is in you. Everything I need. Christ is enough for me. Christ is enough for me. Everything I need is in you. Everything I need. I have decided to follow Jesus. No turning back. No turning back. I have decided to follow Jesus. No turning back. No turning back. I have decided to follow Jesus. No turning back. No turning back. I have decided to follow Jesus. No turning back. No turning back.
Hi, and welcome to another Clyde Valley Community Church online. Can't believe we've been doing this for a year now. I think this is actually week number 53. But we're just so super excited that we're now starting to see a roadmap out of the lockdown, and hopefully we can meet again in person soon and have some real live worship. I just thank you again for tuning in, and if you're not somebody that was attending our church before this and you've been tuning in, and you want to find more about our church, then please just contact us and we'll be glad to tell you about all the exciting things that we do on a Sunday that we've not been able to do during the lockdown. So really exciting, looking ahead. Just thanks again to the band and for everybody that puts this together. We really do appreciate it. So just some announcements. We have got the food bank opening at the start of April, which we're super excited about. We can get to finally reach out to the community, reach the people that need help. And we've been reaching out to you to request some food its collection, just so that we can start a ministry that, and we're going to be doing a collection on the 27th of March between 10 in the morning and 1 in the afternoon. So please, if you can bring stuff down there, but if you can't make it down, then just contact one of us and we'll come and collect that from you. That'd be great. We're also super excited that the Facebook page is finally live, so please look out for that, like it, share it with your friends. The more people we can have like that page, it means that we can keep regular contact with them, and so that's really important. So, and it's good news to kind of share that around as well, so people are aware of that ministry that we're doing. What else do we have? We've got a prayer evening tonight at 6 p.m. Hopefully you've all had an invitation through an email for that, but if you've not had it and you're keen to come along, then just again contact one of us and we'll get those details to you. We're super keen for as many people to be involved in that as possible. Other exciting things coming up. We've got Alpha, so again please just share that with your friends, any colleagues, anybody you know, family members that you might know that could be interested in finding a little more out about Christian faith. And we've also got an exciting Bible study coming up on the book of Philippians. To live is Christ, to die is gain. So that's something to look forward to. Again, just like to thank everybody that on the teaching team that brought us that last series, Goliath Must Fall. That was a real blessing to us all in the church, I think, and I hope you felt a blessing in that. So just like to thank Trevor, Gillian, Kevin, Eric and Stephen Robbins, just for their input into that and for all the preparatory work they did for that. We've got a exciting 3-part series coming up now. This changes everything. This is in the lead up to Easter. I can't believe it's only 2 weeks to go. So we've got a 3-week series, and it's looking at the reality of the life, death and resurrection of Jesus Christ and how that changes everything for us. So we're just delighted to bring that. It's going to be brought over the next 3 weeks by Kevin and Eric. Eric's going to do this week, so just hope you are blessed by the message today and have a good day. Hand you over to Eric. Thank you.
Hi, good morning. This morning we are starting a new series. It's over 3 weeks, and the title is This Changes Everything. This Changes Everything. We're in the run-up to Easter, and ultimately our focus will be on the death and resurrection of Jesus. But over the next 3 weeks, we have, today we'll be looking at the upper room. Next week we're going to look at the journey to Gethsemane. And on Easter Sunday there will be a sermon entitled The Three Images of Christ's Victory. So that's the direction and the overall theme. This changes everything. But today we're in the upper room, and I suppose it's most significantly remembered for the Last Supper, at the occasion where Jesus met with his disciples and they ate the Passover together. The upper room becomes a space for Jesus and his disciples to gather and to eat together, to share, to have this communion together, an opportunity to talk, a space where Jesus could share his final thoughts, maybe teach some precious lessons to them. The kind of stuff that could be transformational, that could be dynamic for them. Stuff that could change everything. In fact, when you read the text in about the upper room, everything in that space, everything in that area, during those few hours, all the stuff that was happening, it all kind of goes against the norm. That which would have been expected in the day. So when you examine the Passover that they were partaking in, when you look at the foot washing, when you listen to the conversations that were taking place, none of it was the expected. It was all as though everything was having a shake-up at the upper room. Everything was... and today, as we focus on all of the activity at that time, we're going to take a close look at the action of Jesus, where he took up a towel, a basin of water, and he began to wash the feet of the disciples. I'm going to read some verses for you from John chapter 13. It's quite a long text, it's 17 verses. So it's John chapter 13, verses 1 to 17. It was just before the Passover festival. Jesus knew that the hour had come for him to leave this world and go to the Father. Having loved his own who were in the world, he loved them to the end. The evening meal was in progress, and the devil had already prompted Judas, the son of Simon Iscariot, to betray Jesus. Jesus knew that the Father had put all things under his power, and that he had come from God and was returning to God. So he got up from the meal, took off his outer clothing, wrapped a towel around his waist. After that, he poured water into a basin and began to wash his disciples' feet, drying them with the towel that was wrapped around him. He came to Simon Peter, who said to him, "Lord, are you going to wash my feet?" Jesus replied, "You do not realize now what I am doing, but later you will understand." "No," said Peter, "you shall never wash my feet." Jesus answered, "Unless I wash you, you have no part with me." "Then, Lord," Simon Peter replied, "not just my feet, but my hands and my head as well." Jesus answered, "Those who have had a bath need only to wash their feet. Their whole body is clean, and you are clean, though not every one of you." For he knew who was going to betray him, and that was why he said not everyone was clean. When he had finished washing their feet, he put on his clothes and returned to his place. "Do you understand what I have done for you?" he asked them. "You call me teacher and Lord, and rightly so, for that is what I am. Now that I, your Lord and teacher, have washed your feet, you also should wash one another's feet. I have set you an example, that you should do as I have done for you. Very truly I tell you, no servant is greater than his master, nor is a messenger greater than the one who sent him. Now that you know these things, you will be blessed if you do them." So it's a great portion of scripture, and it's contributed to a lot of sermons in the past. And this morning, as we come to look at it, what we're going to try and do is we're going to try and draw out some very practical help for ourselves. We need stuff that changes everything. We need to receive from the text and from Scripture and from God today stuff that will transform our life. It says about Jesus in verse 1 that he loved his own. He loved them to the end. One version says he showed them the full extent of his love. Those rebels and radicals, even robbers that were in the room, some of them ridiculous, I suppose. I maybe wouldn't think that I'm a rebel or a robber, but sometimes I think I'm a ridiculous choice by God, and I don't deserve anything of his love or his favour. But in spite of my thoughts and in spite of their faults and all of our faults, you know, we become the object of his love. We become, and to the end. It's a wonderful little verse, that verse 1, where he loves his disciple, he loves his own, and he loves them to the end. This is the love that we can feel and that we can know for ourselves. This is the full extent of his love. He loves his own, those who are attached to him, those who are changing to become like him, those who work with him and for him. We are his own. And in spite of our faults or what we might think about ourselves, you know, we can know the full extent of his love. He loves his own to the very end. In verse 4, Jesus gets up from the meal and he takes a bowl of water and a towel. He wraps the towel around him and he begins to wash their feet. So here is Jesus taking a position of weakness, relative weakness, and he's appearing to act just like a slave. He is showing humility and he wants to serve them. So what we conclude is that his expression of love is to serve. His expression of love is to serve. And this example of Jesus helps us to understand something very crucial, something about self-denial. And if we can get it, if we can comprehend it, then it's a game changer. It absolutely changes everything. In verse 17, so the final verse that we read, as we read that text, the whole story, the little verse that we came to in conclusion said this: "Now that you know these things, you will be blessed if you do them." Another version says, "If you know these things and if you put them into practice, you will find happiness." Game changer. This changes everything. You'll be blessed, you'll find happiness. So what is it that we're meant to learn? It's important that we know what we're meant to learn as we read this stuff. So we're not being asked to learn about getting our shoes and socks off. You know, that's not the learning, you know, principle. That's not what we're asked to do. We're not being asked to find some soapy water and wash other people. That's not where we're at. But in this room, in this upper room, in this space that Jesus has taken and the disciples are there, that they've been allotted, and the time that they've been allotted, there is it's a kind of limited options and there are few alternatives, but there's a lesson that is about to be delivered. There is something to learn. And I think that the lesson is as much, if not more, about what Jesus is not doing than what he is doing. So what Jesus is not doing is really critical. In order to understand all of this, we need to just go back to verse 1 for a moment. Verse 1 is so important in this text. It says there, Jesus knew that the hour had come for him to leave this world and go to the Father. He knew. Now that word knew is bigger than our word. It's a more expansive understanding. And what it means is it means that he had absolute knowledge about what was happening. Absolute knowledge about his death that was coming. So he didn't just know that, you know, it was the time of day, or it was, you know, things were kind of like happening around him. He didn't just know that this kind of feeling of impending doom, oh, it's darkness, or I feel worse or something. You know, it wasn't, but Jesus knew. He knew the treachery. He knew the mockery. He knew the torture. He knew the inhumanity and the pain and the shame. He knew the betrayal, the loneliness, the unfairness, the horror of it all. He knew the thirst, the exhaustion, the suffocation, the darkness of death. Jesus knew. In that small space of limited opportunity and in that room, Jesus knew. And yet, in that space of limited options, Jesus chose not to focus on himself. What he didn't do is the powerful lesson for us to learn. He chose not to ruminate on it and to mull it all over but instead he chose to take a towel and to serve others. It wasn't that he forgot. Jesus knew he forgot about all those things, but he chose not to contemplate on it. He chose not to chew it over and to bring it up so that he could have a conversation, so he'd talk about how unfair it was, how awful things were going to be. He chose not to let it shape his actions and his reactions. Now this is so, so powerful. If we can get this, it changes everything. Verse 17 again. If you know these things and put them into practice, you will find happiness. So Jesus is teaching us something that even when it is dark days for us, when there might be a crisis, our own crisis, maybe our own pain or even betrayal that we might know, if then we can draw on the example of Jesus, where we choose not to focus on ourselves and chew it over in public, where we choose not to open Facebook, where we choose not to text everybody about it, where we choose not to have a public meeting, where we choose not to do all those things that social media might allow us to do, but instead we become capable in the small space that is allotted to us, capable of serving others. The space that we have got, that we could work out how we could help people around us. Because there's plenty of feet that are needing washed, you know. I mean, I say that metaphorically, I'm not speaking about dirty feet, you know that. I'm saying that there's lots of need around us, you know, children in need, teenagers in need, adults in need. There are people who are on our doorstep. And we can hopefully see the opportunity that is awaiting us. Now you've got to love Simon Peter's response to all of this. He's always ready to give Jesus some advice, you know, and to help Jesus to understand things. So he's got his little let me tell you hat on, you know, he's going to sort Jesus out. And he says to Jesus, no, you're not doing that to me. That's not happening. No way, Lord. I don't know whether you've ever said, no way, Lord. No way, Lord. And Jesus is just seeking to serve, and Jesus says basically to Simon, he says, what I'm doing just now, what I'm doing, you right now in this space, in this time, you don't fully understand. You've got limited knowledge. I'll just read verse 7. Jesus replied, you do not realize now what I am doing, but later you will understand. Later you will understand. Now, the thing we need to note here is that Jesus deliberately did not give full information to any of them. He didn't say, this is what's happening, this is how it's going to work out, this is going to be the end result, come on board. He just kind of cracked on with it. And as he did, as he took up the towel, he was just expecting some simple responses from his disciples. He wasn't expecting the, no way, Lord. Not me, Lord. No chance, Lord. He just was doing the serving thing, and he was expecting some simple responses. And as he approached Peter at that point, he's basically saying, come on, Peter, join in. Just let me get your feet wet, Don't let pride get in the way now. Don't be dogmatic about this. Don't try and be clever about this. Because there's more to this than meets the eye. There is a blessing for you to discover for your life. But right now, all you need is a little bit of submission, a little bit of obedience, because that's the key. Then you will know. Later on, eventually, you will gain full understanding. And Peter, eventually, he says, not my feet only. Again, he's kind of wholehearted, either one way or the other. Not my, and then he says, okay, I'm in, totally, fully, completely, everything, not my feet only, everything, I'm with you. It changes everything. And so, we today, we might not fully be grasping it. I know that. It's very difficult in 20 minutes to share stuff and for us to grasp it. Even as I read it, and I've been thinking about this, even it's hard to, but, so even today, if each one of us could just maybe learn the lesson from Jesus enough, then when it comes to making those crucial choices, when we're in our own small space of limited options and we feel, in crisis, or we feel the difficulty, we feel we wish we could moan about it or whatever, that we are able to move our focus off ourselves rather than having what we might call a pity party or stirring up turmoil on social media or whatever it is, that we could decide to take up the towel. That we could decide to respond more readily and quickly to the need of the people around us. That we could find ways to serve others. There's lots to do. Lots of feet needing washed. Verse 17 again. If you know these things, and if you put them into practice, you will find happiness. This changes everything. I trust you'll have a really good week, and as we look forward to Easter, I trust we'll be really excited about the things that God is going to show us and encourage us with as we just progress together. So have a good week, and hopefully see you soon. God bless. Bye-bye.
To the King of glory and light, our praises. To the only giver of life, our Maker. The gates are open wide, we worship you. Come see what love has done, amazing. He bought us with his blood, our Savior. The cross has overcome, we worship you. worship you. Now shout, Hosanna, Jesus he saves. So shout, Hosanna, he rose from the grave. Come and lift him up, Hosanna. Now let the lost be found, forgiven. Death could not hold him down. He's risen. So let the saints cry out, we worship you, we worship you. And shout, Hosanna, Jesus he saves. So shout, Hosanna, he rose from the grave. Come and lift him up, Hosanna. Same power that rolled the stone away, same power alive in us today. King Jesus, we call upon your name, no other name. Same power that rolled the stone away, same power alive in us today. King Jesus, we call upon your name, no other name. And shout, Hosanna, Jesus he saves. So shout, Hosanna, he rose from the grave. Come and lift him up, Hosanna. Shout, Hosanna, Jesus he saves. So shout, Hosanna, he rose from the grave. Come and lift him up, Hosanna. Come and lift him up, Hosanna. Come and lift him up, Hosanna. Hosanna.
Oh, the blood, crimson love, price of life's demand, shameful sin placed on him, the hope of every man. Oh, the blood of Jesus washes me. Oh, the blood of Jesus shed for me. What a sacrifice that saved my life. Yes, the blood, it is my victory. Savior, Son, Holy One, slain so I can live. Oh, see the Lamb, the great no greater